This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that we do call this special meeting of council to order on Wednesday, July 8th, 2020 at 6 p.m. All in favor? And carried. And I need a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda, please. Drago and John. Okay, moved by Drago Stefanik, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that council does hereby approve the agenda as presented. All in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. Okay, item number 4 on our agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof and declaration of conflict of interest. Council, you know, you can declare that now at any time throughout the meeting. And we'll move right into 5. It's our special budget report, 5.1, and that is our Public Works Manager's report. Dwayne, would you like to speak to your report at all, or would you like me to open up for questions first?
Go ahead and open up for questions if you don't mind.
Okay, we'll go that way. I'm going to open the floor up for council to ask Dwayne any questions on his report. None from council. Okay, we'll go to Peter and then Drago. Councillor Kistemaker.
Comment, Dwayne, you chair. I would, sorry, Madam Mayor, agree with Dwayne on kind of diverting these funds maybe and putting them towards the other considerations that are listed, like towards the pickup truck and possibly a snow bucket.
Okay. Was that everything, Peter?
Yes.
Thank you for those comments. And Councillor Stefanik?
Thank you. I agree with Public Works Manager and Dwayne. I also agree with the consideration item number 1 and 2. I think that was the highest priority as he put them in that context. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from John or Belinda?
No.
Go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
For you, Mayor. I like the considerations that are being made, 1, 2, and 3. We spoke to all these before, and I think all of them will give us a return on our investment.
Okay, thank you for that. And go ahead, Belinda. Councillor Kistemaker. You're on mute, Belinda.
I agree with this considerations 1, 2, and 3. The hot box, with that, I thought that would be something we could consider for when we're doing the airport grant. This is something that is would help out there, and if we can fit it into the budget for that, and if it's under the right criteria, why wouldn't we add it to that? That would just help with the it wouldn't be interfering with what we have at the moment, and we would still be getting a hot box what was considered in the SDR. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, good suggestion. Thank you for that, Belinda. Just a couple of comments from myself, Dwayne, is so when you said in your considerations, it depends on decision. So definitely we would see a direct benefit from the snow bucket this year if we were to purchase this year. And one other thing I wanted to mention was I see in item D of consideration 3, the demolition of derelict buildings. When this was discussed at council of taking down buildings, I didn't realize that, are you saying that Public Works could actually do our demolitions?
I can't see why we couldn't. It's no different than a contractor doing it. I don't see any problem with that.
Okay, okay. I think we should have further discussion on item number 3, and we should put it as a topic on our upcoming agenda. I hadn't even considered that. I didn't know that was a option, and I think that's going to be a huge benefit to our community. Go ahead, Belinda.
When we first started on council, this was brought up then, and it was said it would be a very good tool, and it's been brought up again, and it's from another individual. So, you know, it is something that is being recognized, and we should be looking at that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to figure out how we're purchasing one, where it's coming from, and if we're going to go with the payments or how we're going to do that. I think we need to get one just by these considerations. So just one final question, Dwayne. It says the policy considerations. So the SDR had this in PW06. So where was that in the timeline for the excavator?
Gil have to back me up on this one, but I think it was this year. It was this year purchase.
This year purchase? Okay.
Just give me a second, I'll look it up. We did have 2020 fourth quarter.
Okay. Was there any discussion from the senior management team on how this would fit into our budget this year?
Not particularly. I think Dwayne has suggested, and correct me if I'm wrong, you could, a second-hand one would be 80,000 or so, you figured, Dwayne?
Yeah, somewhere around there, between 80 and 100.
So we'd have to get Melissa to look into some financing. It would have to be financed.
Okay. Okay, well, I think for council, I think everyone's on board with it. We are going to need extra time for staff to get some figures for us. I'm not sure if there probably will not be enough time for our next meeting, but maybe our August meeting? Would that be sufficient, Dwayne, or do you want to?
It'd be sufficient on my part.
Yeah. Is council in agreement with that direction? For this is for consideration 3. Okay. Okay. So one final question was we had the hot box within the budget already, or was it sitting on side of the budget? I need clarification.
We have it in the SDR funds that comes in and comes out, so it can be shifted as you guys see fit.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. So we could actually get the snow bucket and possibly the pickup truck out of those instead of the hot box.
Yeah.
Okay. Was the purchase of the excavator part of those funds as well?
No, they're not.
No, eh? Okay.
We had a list and we took all of the funds that were recommended through the SDR, and the excavator said to be determined. So that wasn't part of our compiling of the funds.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, any further questions from council on those 2 items? So just to summarize some of the extra questions that I asked. So 1 and 2, we could transfer the funds from the hot box and cover those 2 purchases, which would save on fuel and wear and tear, and on the amount of time it would actually free up man hours as well. And then we can look in August for further information for the excavator and how we are going to go about going forward with that. Does that seem like a plan from council? Okay. Did you want to add anything else, Dwayne?
No, I think I put everything I could put down in that report and try to rationalize what my thought pattern was going. So I hope I passed it across well.
Yeah, no, I thought the report was really well done, and just by the way council responded, I think they all agree as well. So go ahead, Gail.
So a pickup truck off the top of my head, and just looking at the summary that we provided in January, that I don't think that was listed in the SDR. So I'm not sure that we'll be able to use those modernization funds for that purchase, but we could roll that into the financing for an excavator and use that remaining 37,000 or whatnot for other initiatives that we are planning to do. It wouldn't be put to waste, that's for sure.
Okay, and we could also use it as a down payment for the excavator because that was in the SDR.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Like, okay. Okay, well, we'll leave that up to the staff to figure out the best way for the financing and how to come to make these things happen. We can see the benefit. We've talked about this excavator several times, and I know we're all liking the reports to making the good decisions moving forward. So we'll figure out how to make that work. Is there any further comments before we move on? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to item number 6. So 6.1 is open discussion on the municipal budget 2020. Melissa, did you want to highlight for the people present where we're at before we totally open it up for questions?
Yeah, sorry, my papers are flying all over. I'm trying to get them to stay down.
Do you have a fan going too? It's a heat wave.
Okay, so I just wanted to highlight some of the changes that I made from the first draft that was presented on June 24th compared to the draft that was presented tonight. So as you can see in the second draft, there are a few minimal changes to the salary and wages for the admin, public works, and arena department, which I'm not at liberty to speak about at this time, as these changes are pending upon council's acceptance of a third-party review that will be discussed in an upcoming closed session. So for the admin, did everybody pick up their packages from the town hall? Because I did make new packages and they're numbered.
I did not.
You did not?
I did not. I missed it.
Okay, that's okay.
You'll have to be very descriptive in your explanation, that's all.
Just a question on the packages, Melissa. Is it the same packages before with just numbers, or did you update the numbers in it?
Yeah, I did the changes that I'm gonna go through tonight, so I'll just highlight them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for the administration expenses, so the travel and training and professional development was decreased $5,000 as per council's last meeting. And the repair and maintenance equipment was increased, as council knows, $1,000 for the photocopier. And in the council section, travel, training, professional development for all of the councillors has been decreased $1,000 as per council's discussion at the last council meeting, and mayor's travel and training has been decreased $1,500. So in the fire department expenses, the travel and training and professional development was decreased $1,500, and we talked about that at the last council meeting, and then I followed up with Miles, who agreed to decreasing it $1,500. And then emergency management, the COVID expenses was increased $10,000 as per the direction council provided. And the public works department, the revenue for the sales of public works recoverable was increased $20,000 as per last council meeting. And the materials and supplies for loose top was also increased $20,000 on the expense side. And the repair and maintenance for backhoe was increased $3,000. The furniture and equipment expense in the garbage was increased $3,200 for the Polygon. The arena, the revenue for sale of recovery was increased $3,000, and that's due to a retrofit incentive that we received from Hydro One for when we did the GHG project, and I believe it was in 2018. So we got a reimbursement for those incentives for $3,000. And in the arena revenue, arena special events was increased $300 to reflect the actuals that we've received already in 2020. And last, the economic development department, I reached out to NWMO to inquire if there was any flexibility in reassigning the funding. They advised they are not opposed to the idea and provided direction for me to submit a request of changes to them once we know what area we want to change in that ECDEV funding. And those are the only changes, and the percentage increase remains at 1.75.
Okay. One question I do have, because we had a submission from a resident, what does a 0.25% give us if we were to put those funds towards the landfill?
My computer's being slow here. $4,692.
Okay, thank you for that, Melissa.
Just to confirm, you said 0.25?
Yes, I believe that's what it was, right? I'm just going off memory, but yeah, 0.25%. Okay, so we have open discussion. That's we're open to ask questions. That's to the floor, to anyone that would like to ask. I do see that we have Cindy on and Sophia. Do you have any questions on the budget, Cindy?
No, I'm good, Cheryl. Thanks.
You're good? Okay. And Sophia, did you have any questions for us?
No, thank you. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to listen and to hear what the priorities look like this year. Thank you for letting me observe.
Hey, no problem. Well, that was a quick 60 minutes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, go ahead, Drago.
I actually analyzed the budget one more time, and I think we don't have no buffer zone, 1.75. Something breaks down, extra overtime during the winter time. I think it's feasible with 0.25 as one ratepayer suggested as well, to bring it up to 2%. It's not a massive increase, but 2% be more fair, considering we didn't increase anything else along the way. I think it's more than fair for our budget. Once we go over the budget to staffing or breakdown, it doesn't matter what we set it at. You know they self, Cheryl, Madam Mayor. I think 2% is better.
Okay, okay. Go ahead, Melissa.
So just a question for Drago. the 0.25%, is that something that we would budget to transfer to capital reserve, and then if we needed it, then we could reallocate it if something happens throughout the year?
100%, you're correct. Thank you.
Okay. In the budget currently, we didn't transfer anything into capital reserve? No. Okay. And by our policy, though, it's 2%, right? Just to be transferred into capital reserve?
It's 2% for long-term loan payments or capital expenditures or capital reserve.
Okay, all of that. And okay, so that's included then with our long-term payments.
Yes.
It meets that. Okay. Okay, any other conversation on Drago's suggestion of the 0.25 increase, make it a flat 2%? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
I agree with the thought process. It's just this particular year with the COVID-19, I really like the idea of putting some money away because I feel there will be additional expenses that we don't see coming down the pipeline within the next year or two. So I really think we need to have a reserve for that, so we're not going back and going into a deficit. I don't really like the idea of adding more taxes for everybody, but I'm not sure how you can get around it.
Okay.
That's my comment.
Okay, thank you for that. Why don't we move on? We'll move on to 6.2, or council deliberations, because we're already kind of into this now. And John had submitted some questions, and Melissa did up a really good report from our last meeting of all the different things we had discussed. I know we were looking for some direction on certain items. One thing that I wanted to touch on right off the top was something I noticed. I thought it was a good question that John had asked about the hospital generator funds, about what we're going to do, because we did say we would give some to that. My concern is I would really like to see a budget. I'd like to see what like we're contributing, but I want to be really responsible with our part of the funds and ensure that in the end there is a generator. So I'm okay to put money aside, but we as council, we have asked a few times. I'm know for one for sure, but I was speaking with Gail, and I believe it's twice we've talked to the hospital about that, Gail? Yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, about having some sort of budget or how they're going to go about receiving the generator or getting the funds for the generator. So that's one topic if we want to discuss that first. Go ahead, Belinda, Councillor Kistemaker.
I agree with you, Cheryl. I really want to see, I want to be wise with all this money, and I want to know what people are doing with it and what their plan is. I don't feel good about this. I want to know. I'm on board with you.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to reiterate, this is by no means saying no. It's just we have to know how it's going to happen. Go ahead, Peter, Councillor Kistemaker.
I agree with you, Mayor. I would back you up on that and put a stipulation that, you know, when there's a timeline given by the hospital, we could, I don't know how you would do it, maybe hold it in escrow or something so that $40,000 or $50,000, whatever we decide to donate towards the generator, that is put aside. But I agree at 5 or 10 years down the road, if the generator resources away.
Peter, I'm going to have to interrupt you, Peter. You're loud sometimes, and then sometimes you're very unclear. I'm not sure if I'm the only one hearing that.
I can't hear period, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I'm not sure where your mic is, Peter.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
Okay, I was just, maybe I have to speak louder. I agree with you, Madam Mayor. Fear of mine would be donated the money 5, 10 years down the road. If there's no generator, where does the money go? We hold on to the money, have it set aside somewhere in a special account, or given to the hospital with the stipulation that if it's not spent within whatever timeline they come up with, we're reimbursed just so the money doesn't do something else other than generator.
Okay, like earmark it, and then either we hold it or we have some sort of, there's some sort of contractual obligation to use it for its purpose by a certain time.
Yes, I hate to use the term strings attached, but you got, like you said, I'm just backing you up. I agree that we have to be very responsible with that money, and just to give it away and not have anything to put back towards the community, I think would be irresponsible.
Okay. Councillor Stefanik?
Yeah, I concur. I think first of all, we should leave 50,000 in a separate account it's our township's accounts. Maybe a letter correspondence to the hospital CEO and asking what is the critical path for the fundraising, what states are at, what's the actual cost. I mean, there are different costs for a generator. All those, when will they start? What's the target date? What's the target amount to be funded? I mean, then we can certainly make some decision on again, I don't know what their status is. As a footnote, I sent a Gail email from Timmins Daily Press. It seems most of the mines in that area are donating to the Timmins and District Hospital. We have hard gold mine down the street. I mean, that'd be a good avenue to pursue. We also have CN, the major employer committee. That'd be also a good individuals to see. So I'd like to see some action, critical path, but I still would set aside as 50,000 in our budget when time comes, once council is satisfied with the plan to go forth. Thank you.
Thank you, Drago. I really have to say I love that vocabulary, critical path. And then when we see that, we're ready to come on board as well. I really like that vocabulary. Yeah. And I agree with you about the mines and CN. We definitely can advocate on their behalf once we have the path in place to try and get funds from them as well. I have no problem doing that. Okay, so moving on, was there any other unfinished questions, Melissa, that you needed answered? And is there anything further from council while Melissa's looking for her loose ends? What anything that council would like to discuss as well?
Melissa's mic is stuck. Okay, there she goes.
Oh, it's stuck. Okay, I was wondering. I thought you guys were having like a private conversation. I'm like, hello?
Oh, she was just texting me. My mouse isn't working and I can't unlock my mic.
Poor Melissa. Okay, we'll go to Melissa first and then we'll go to Councillor Stefanik.
No, I don't have any unanswered questions, but I just want to clarify with the SDR funds and the NWMO community well-being, as well as the NWMO economic development funds. All three of those pots, I've got them budgeted right now that they all come in and they all go out. So that those three pots of money don't have any effect on the budget at all. So if council doesn't come to a decision tonight how you want to earmark all of those funds, we can still pass the budget without it, and we can have further discussions regarding those three topics.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you for that. And Councillor Stefanik?
Yeah. Again, I'll say as far as capital building fund, 2025, we'll need a new municipal office. I want to repeat that again. Your coordination system, that's going to be, have to be in compliance in January of next year, which is $1,700,000, something to think about as well on a broader scale, especially to 2025.
Okay, thank you for that. So we need a long-term financial budget. I think that's part of our SDR, is it not, Melissa, our treasurer? Yes, yeah. Was there any other comments or discussion from council? Okay, so are we prepared to pass the budget at 1.75? That's the recommendation. Or we can choose to pass a 2% budget increase. So we need some direction on that. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
As I said 5 minutes previous, I still believe 2% is most feasible and most realistic budget to pass versus 1.75. All the reasons we discussed. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Kistemaker Peter.
I agree with Drago on this, that 2% would make more sense at this time.
2%. And the extra $4,692 would go into capital reserve and then earmark for landfill?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a really good idea. Sorry, through you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you, John. I think overall it's a pretty conservative budget, and I want to say that I do like taking the recommendation of what we're getting from our community, because I would like to see more generated recommendations public, like where people's hearts are at, what they want to see. And I think by listening and implementing, that puts a firm stance out there that we are listening, we are trying to incorporate, but also maintain and minimize our budget. I have to say, in John's recommendations about us moving forward, is trying to figure out how we can minimize costs and we have to come up with some solution how we lower this tax rate. Gail and I had a quick discussion today just about to attract investors, it needs to come down. So in our long-term forecast, maybe when we're talking about earmarking some of these funds and where they're going to go, maybe some of this tax levy stabilization goes to us trying to bring it down moving forward. Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a point of information for everyone on council. Geraldton passed their budget a few days ago at 2.7. The budget, the water and sewer was 5% increase. Just to sort of keep us sort of what's going around us. Thank you.
Do you know what they, Drago, this is directed at yourself. Do you know what they're currently paying annually for water, or was there any kind of comparable information there?
When the mayor was on the radio, he didn't discuss that. He just discussed the basic, yeah. If you get touch with Rainier Bello,
yeah, maybe.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Thank you, Drago. I will. I'll get in touch with them. Okay, so is there any further comments from staff? Go ahead, Melissa, go ahead.
I just want to clarify. So the extra 0.25% would council's direction is to put that in a landfill reserve?
Yes, I believe, yes, for capital reserve that's marked for landfill.
So when the budget's passed at the next meeting, a resolution will have to come to council to establish that reserve, correct? Yep.
Yes, are we able to simplify it? Can we put it in a capital reserve and then it's earmarked within that, or do we need a separate reserve for that?
You need a separate reserve.
Okay, yeah, whatever you need to make that happen, let's do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the floor out. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
Sorry, thank you, Mayor. One of my questions that I had on there, I just want some clarification from Melissa maybe. It was about the airport funding. Our share is 323,000. You listed a couple of revenue streams there, but they don't add up to 323. And I was wondering where we're going to come up with the rest.
So we need, in addition to the OSIF, we need $75,640. So it would be up to council to decide if we want to take that out of reserve or if we want to take it out of the federal gas tax, or if, Gail had mentioned last meeting, we don't know if that's going to be all spent this year or if it's going to be spent next year or over the next 3 years. So I'm not sure, maybe Gail could provide some insight on that.
Yes, go ahead, Gail.
I was anticipating we could use the following year's OSIF formula funding for that. We just haven't got the notification of the amount yet. So, and this project won't take place until 2022. So by that time we should have, unless the government takes that away, we should have that extra funding that we need.
Okay, thank you.
I'm wondering too, would it be feasible if once we have the whole project laid out, if that's something that we take to our industry and say this is our portion, and they may contribute? Because I know we had talked about it at one of our meetings with CN, and I just put it bluntly, if we had no airport, what would that mean to your company? And they do use it, and I know Heart Gold does use it. Like, I'm not saying the whole portion, but maybe they would contribute to some of that as well. So
a great idea.
I'm hearing you right, Gail. We have some time, right, to come up with some different creative ways.
We do, yeah.
Okay. Good question, John. Thank you for that. Was there anything else from your questions, John, that you'd like talked about here?
I just want to go back to for the GPSs. Dwayne, you said you wanted $9,000 for it, but in your answer, it didn't seem to add up. And I can't find, oh, there you go. $980 to buy 7 units or $980 each?
Go ahead, Dwayne.
$100 a piece.
$100
$100 a piece.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty cheap. I mistook it. I thought it was $1,000 a piece and you wanted a lot more than that.
So John, you just got $8,000 worth of savings right there.
Exactly. I'm done for the day. I'm out of here.
Good job, Dwayne. Nice way to inflate your budget. Go ahead, Melissa.
I think that the $9,000 came from the quote from the SDR, so that's where that $9,000 came from, and then Dwayne priced it out, and it was a lot less expensive than what we anticipated.
Okay, and it'll add tremendous security to our municipality. So
It's doing our due diligence too.
Yeah, exactly. That's right, Belinda. Go ahead, Peter.
Dwayne, what was the tracking cost, like the monthly cost per unit?
$16.95, I believe, per unit.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay.
That's basic tracking, though. It's not analyzing efficiencies in that, just basic tracking.
Okay, so I'm going to put it out to council one last time. We're looking at 2% increase, and Melissa will provide us with a resolution to establish a landfill reserve, and we will put an initial amount of just over $4,600, well, just under $4,700 into that this year, and that'll be on our next meeting. Is that the consensus I'm hearing from council?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to leave it there then. If you have any other questions, now's the time, or go ahead, John.
And I just want to follow up on the landfill one.
Yes.
What is the remaining amount that we're targeting for?
Well, if we were to put 25% in every year for the next 7 years, we would have just under 35,000 over 7 years, but that's not, like, we need quite a bit. That's just a start. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, sorry, I just, so the total amount to put in a new landfill site would bring us how many millions of dollars are we looking at?
Do I have a staff member? Gail, can you?
I believe they had said it was $300,000 for closure and $1 million to open another one, a new one. That I could be off on that a little bit, but it's around that area.
So we got a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Do we know, just on that question of landfills, do we know any other communities that have currently just opened a new landfill, or how they have successfully transitioned?
I'm thinking that Wawa might have done one or is in the process of doing one. I can ask around and see. I know the ones in the area are definitely at the point where they need to do new ones. Ours is actually in better shape than some of the other ones, I've been told by the MOE, believe it or not. But I can make some inquiries there.
Okay, because that might be a joint delegation that we can do. And if we could get half the money from the province, that would be a start. Go ahead, Councillor Paroff.
Yes, I just want to make a comment. I just read that email, I think that was sent out by the CAO earlier about Rickford, Minister Rickford. And he had mentioned something about landfills, and looks like there could be possibly funding for that. So we should keep monitoring that.
Oh, good call, John. What do we need initially if they do put out funding for landfills? Are we going to be anywhere near prepared for that, to jump on that funding?
I think, well, we need an engineer study, so we're planning to put an RFP out for that this year.
Okay.
But the study, like that funding may cover a study as well. I don't know. I don't even know if they know yet what they're doing with it, but they just announced that there may be something coming out.
Okay, so that was in the Ontario News announcement, John. Could you forward that to me?
That
or
was
did I get it?
You got it just before the meeting. It's the letter from Minister Clark.
Okay, I didn't read it yet. Oh, it's it's on our agenda for next meeting. Okay, great. So we can have a discussion. Okay. Yeah, I'm just seeing it now. Okay, good call, John. Thank you, Councillor Paroff. Okay, so if council's good with that, I'm going to move us on. And we are at the confirmatory. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Peter? Sorry, I put my head down. Belinda, thank you, Belinda. Moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1802 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at their special meeting of council held on Wednesday, July 8th, 2020, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Putting it to the vote, those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, and if I can get a mover and a seconder to close this special meeting, Drago.
I'll second it.
And second by John. Thank you, John. Okay, moved by Drago Stefanik, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that we do adjourn this special meeting of council held on Wednesday, July 8th, 2020 at 6:46 p.m. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, council, we have a budget. Thank you, everyone.
Good job, Melissa.